Good day and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Athyrah Binti Ridzuan and I present the one from Group 1 NBH 5A. Okay, I would like to introduce my team member which is Amali, Aqib Azarian and Fakhri Azizi. Today our group will be presenting an article review entitled ethical issue and unethical behavior in the workplace. Okay, so through this presentation, we aim to highlight key ethical behavior and some insight from recent academic literature. Okay, now we will begin with introduce ethic in the workplace refer to the moral principle and standard that guide employee behavior and organization practice. Ethical behavior promote trust, fairness, professionalism, while unethical behavior can result in a serious consequences, moral and legal penalties. Okay, in recent years, organizations across various industries have reported increasing cases of unethical practice, including fraud, discrimination, harassment, abuse of power, and data misuse. So these issues are often influenced by factors such as leadership style, organization culture, pressure to achieve performance target, and lack of ethical enforcement. So therefore, understanding ethical issue and unethical behavior is essential for organization to create healthy, transparent, and sustainable working environments. Okay, now we go to next slide. It is the importance of this issue lies in its direct impact of both employees and organization. Ethical practice contribute to employee trust, job satisfaction, and long-term organization success. In contrast, unethical behavior can lead to high employee turnover, reduced productivity, and loss of state confidence. Okay, additionally, with the advancement of technology, globalization, and remote working arrangement, organizations are facing new ethical challenges that require immediate attention. As highlighted in recent literature, organizations that fail to address ethical issues effectively are more likely to experience internal conflict and external scrutiny. For this reason, ethical issue and unethical behavior remain a critical topic in organization behavior research and practice.
The first objective of this review is to identify common ethical issues and forms of unethical behavior in the workplace. The second objective is to examine the causes of unethical behavior at three levels: individual, organizational, and situational. The third objective is to analyze the impact of unethical behavior on employees and organizational outcomes. Finally, this review aims to suggest practical solutions and managerial recommendations based on recent research. This article review is based on 10 scholarly articles published between 2020 and 2025. The selected articles consist of empirical studies, systematic literature reviews, and conceptual papers. The scope focuses on ethical climate, ethical leadership, performance pressure, job strain, and unethical behavior in organizational settings. Okay, for the ethical climate refers to employees' shared perception of what is considered ethical behavior within an organization. It acts as a guideline for decision making and behavior. When ethical standards are unclear or weak, employees may feel justified in engaging in unethical acts. However, a strong ethical climate accountability, sorry, however, a strong ethical climate promotes accountability, fairness, and ethical awareness among employees. For ethical climate key findings, research shows that organizations with self-interest oriented ethical climate experience high level of unethical behavior. Negative ethical climates are also associated with emotional exhaustion, burnout, and employee turnover. On the other hand, positive ethical climates increase employees' ethical confidence and help them resist unethical pressure. This shows that ethical climate indirectly shapes employee behavior.
Assalamualaikum and a good day, Madam Hazami. I am Amir Amali and I will be presenting the third part of our presentations. My section focus on ethical leadership's performance pressure, individual factors, and the conceptual framework derived from our literature review. I will begin with the role of ethical leaderships in influencing unethical behavior in the workplace. For this part, I will explain the role of ethical leadership in shaping employee behavior. Ethical leadership refers to leaders who act as moral role model, communicate clear ethical standard, and consistently enforce ethical rules. When leaders demonstrate ethical behavior, employees are more likely to follow acceptable norms and less likely to engage in misconduct. Therefore, leadership behaviors play a crucial role in influencing how employees make ethical decisions in the workplace. Based on the reviewed literature, ethical leadership has a strong impact on reducing unethical behavior across different organizational contexts. Ethical leaders discourage responsibility displacement, where employees justify unethical actions by blaming instructions or pressure. In addition, ethical leaderships improve employees' trust, commitment, and overall performance. Overall, ethical leaderships contributes to the development of a positive ethical culture within organizations. Next, I will discuss performance pressure and job strain. High performance expectations and unrealistic targets can create excessive pressures on employees. This pressure leads to job strain, which increase stress and emotional exhaustion. As a result, employees under high pressure may prioritize achieving results over following ethical procedures, increasing the risk of unethical behavior. Unethical pro-organizational behavior, or UPB, refers to unethical action carried out with the intentions of benefiting the organizations. Examples includes hiding negative information, manipulating report, or bending rules to meet targets. Although these actions are often justified as helping the organizations, they still violate ethical standards. However, the literature suggests that co-worker support in a supportive work environment can help reduce employees' engagement in UPB. In addition to leaderships and pressure, individuals and situational factors also influence unethical behavior. Individuals' moral values affect how employees respond to ethical dilemmas. Moral disengagements allow individuals to justify unethical actions without feeling guilt. At the same time, situational pressure interact with personal values, indicating that unethical behavior rarely has a single cause. This conceptual framework summarizes the key findings from our literature review. Ethical leaderships and ethical climate influence how performance pressure and individuals' moral values shape unethical behavior. These factors interact and eventually lead to organizational and employees' outcomes such as burnout, reduced performance, and turnover. This framework highlights that unethical behavior results from multiple interacting factors rather than individuals' failure alone. With that, I will end my presentations. Thank you so much.
Good day, everyone. For this section, I will present the analysis summary followed by solutions and recommendations based on the reviewed literature. Overall, the analysis shows that unethical behavior in the workplace does not occur due to a single cause. Instead, it is influenced by a combination of organizational, situational, and individual factors. These factors interact with one another and together explain why unethical behavior continues to occur in many organizations. At the organizational level, two major factors stand out: ethical climate and leadership. The literature consistently shows that organizations with weak ethical climates and ineffective leadership are more likely to experience unethical behavior. When ethical standards are unclear, poor enforced, or when leaders fail to act as role models, employees may perceive unethical actions as acceptable or even necessary. In contrast, a strong ethical climate helps guide ethical decision making and discourages misconduct. At the situational level, performance pressure and uncertainty play a significant role. Excessive performance targets, job insecurity, and high competition can push employees towards unethical actions, especially when they believe it's benefit the organization. At the individual level, personal moral values and self-interest also influence behavior. Employees with weaker moral values or higher self-interest are more likely to engage in unethical conduct, particularly when supported by a permissive environment. Importantly, the literature emphasizes that it is the interaction of these factors rather than one single factor that explains unethical behavior. Based on this analysis, the reviewed studies propose several practical solutions to reduce unethical behavior. These solutions focus on strengthening ethical systems within organizations, improving leadership practice, and managing performance pressure more effectively. The goal is not only to prevent misconduct, but also to create a workplace culture that supports ethical decision making. At the organizational level, several key solutions are recommended. First, organizations should develop a strong ethical climate by clearly communicating ethical values and expectations. Second, they should establish and enforce clear codes of conduct to guide employees' behavior. And third, organizations need to align rewards and performance systems with ethical behavior, ensuring that unethical outcomes are not indirectly encouraged. Finally, transparency in decision making is essential to build trust and reduce ethical ambiguity. At the leadership and HR level, ethical leadership plays a critical role. Organizations should provide ethical leadership training to help leaders recognize and manage ethical challenges. Leaders must also be held accountable for ethical conduct, as their actions strongly influence employee behavior. In addition, HR should design a balanced performance management system that avoids excessive pressures. Reducing unrealistic targets and providing adequate support can significantly lower the risk of unethical pro-organizational behavior. Based on the findings, the literature strongly suggests adopting a multi-level approach to managing workplace ethics. This means addressing unethical behavior not only at the individual level, but also through leadership practices, organizational systems, and workplace culture. At the managerial level, several recommendations are highlighted. Managers should embed ethics into HR policies and daily practices rather than treating ethics as a separate issue. They should also act as ethical role models as employees often observe and imitate managerial behavior. Furthermore, managers should encourage ethical voice and open communications, allowing employees to raise concerns without fear. Providing safe reporting channels for misconduct is essential in preventing unethical behavior from becoming normalized. At the organizational level, long-term commitment is required. Organizations should support employees through teamwork and co-work support, as social support can reduce the negative effect of pressure. Regular ethics training programs should be conducted to reinforce ethical awareness. Additionally, organizations should monitor ethical risks proactively and continuously reinforce ethical values to ensure ethical behavior becomes part of the organizational culture. In conclusion, unethical behavior is a complex issue shaped by leadership, systems pressure, and individual values. By integrating ethical leadership, supportive HR practices, and strong organizational cultures, organization can reduce misconduct and promote sustainable performance.